Good afternoon, Brother James, Mr. O'Toole, members of the faculty and the board, members of the class of 1967, parents, friends, and the members of the class of 2017. In August of 2013, we entered the doors of Salle for the first time, most of us strangers. That day, we were given a crash course on our next 4 years. I'm sure you all have a memory of watching that PowerPoint on what it means to be Lasalian, hearing for the first time the 5 core principles of the Lasalian mission, listening to Mr. Chichimaro scream the alma mater like a madman, and having our first taste of those beloved cafeteria French fries that, at some point, mysteriously disappeared. Of all the speeches, discussions, and advice you received that day, one phrase resonated with me above all others. Don't be that guy who leaves at 2:15. LaSalle has way too much to offer. The importance of that simple advice didn't click with me at first. However, as 4 years came and went seemingly in a blink, I realized that this phrase meant far more than simply joining a club, playing a sport, or being in theater or band. But why is what we heard that day so significant? Why is LaSalle so special? Why is it that today we have a feeling of overwhelming excitement to move on to the next phase of our lives, mixed with the deep, underlying sadness that this is the last time we can call ourselves students at our school in Winmore, Pennsylvania? As I contemplated the end of our time here, I believe I've discovered an answer to these seemingly rhetorical questions. I like to think of the last 4 years as a storybook, each day representing a new page. If someone were to sit down and write a story about us, the class of 2017, what would our book contain? What story would it tell? I could stand up here and recall our exceptional list of things we have been able to accomplish in just 4 short years, but I don't feel as though that alone encompasses what LaSalle truly is. I am sure our pages would mention a few statistics here and there, the many academic accomplishments we have achieved. It probably would include the PCLs we have won, and maybe the colleges we have gotten into. However, if we all take the time to recall our favorite LaSalle memories, chances are that a class, a subject, or a test would not be our initial thought. Chemistry and calculus are beautiful things, but they do not begin to define why this place is making it so difficult for us to say goodbye. Yes, we have accomplished great things in the classroom. However, that alone does not define why today, all 286 of us former strangers sit here as brothers, wishing that we had but one more day to walk through the halls of LaSalle. Much of the contents of our book were written after the clock ticked 2:15. They consist not of a 40-minute class, a grade on a report card, or a college acceptance letter, but the little conversations, big and small endeavors, and exits from our comfort zones LaSalle demanded of us. Therefore, it's likely that your fondest memories are filled with those countless, small, brief day-to-day experiences, such as long conversations in the cafeteria or the brief hellos in the hallway, the unbreakable bonds formed through our most heartbreaking defeats and triumphant victories, the 2 or 3 periods a day when campus ministry turned into Woodstock listening to Sabia's classic rock playlist, the times we stood together in the student sections on those cold, rainy Friday nights at PW, or the one day a year we stood divided, eating baby food and racing tricycles to earn our homeroom's honor on field day. And perhaps our fondest memories that we all shared on Kairos, when we were able to grow in ourselves and in our faith, experience God as not just a mere existence, but present in our parents, our siblings, our classmates, and our teachers, and growing closer as a class of 2017 with peers that we may have never spoken to before, but in just 4 short days became our closest friends. With each page, we became something different, something greater than what we were the day before. A couple of months ago, a teacher had asked me, "What does it mean to be Lasalian?" After many seconds of hesitation, I gave the textbook answer and rattled off the 5 core principles of the Lasalian mission to the best of my knowledge: concern for the poor, faith in God's presence, quality education, respect for all persons, inclusive community. The rather disappointed look on that teacher's face made it clear to me that this was not the answer he wanted to hear. They asked me again, "Well, what does it truly mean?" As we watched that PowerPoint our freshman year, the word Lasalian was nothing more than a vocabulary term, an abstract concept. However, either consciously or subconsciously, our lives here have become the definition of the mission itself. Maybe it was that teacher who without hesitation gave up his or her time before or after school to help you, and in time became someone you could truly call your mentor and friend. Maybe it was a classmate you barely knew, but who was willing to help you with a test or project at any hour of the night for no other reason than the fact that they wanted to see you succeed. Maybe it was that stranger you met on a service trip, who despite having little or nothing themselves, taught you the true meaning of happiness. And quite possibly, it was the unconditional love and support our parents have shown us, no matter how many mistakes, bad grades, or difficult times there have been. Experiences like these cannot be summarized merely by words or in a definition, but can be found within what LaSalle has provided for us each and every day, beyond 40 minutes of any one class. And in those extra hours, rooted in our Lasalian principles, can be found the sacrifice and perseverance that forged an unbreakable faith in God, love, and newfound confidence that defines the difference between the boys who walked through the doors in August of 2013 and the men that sit here today. All of this being said, I think it's safe to say that I didn't have a conventional high school experience. I didn't feel obligated to fit in, be a star athlete, or act a certain way to feel as though I belonged here. LaSalle asked nothing more of us than to become the best versions of our true selves that we could be. We embraced each other's differences, discovered similarities, and became nothing short of a family. On that very same orientation day 4 years ago, sitting much like we are today, we were told to look to our left and to our right. Those strangers we were promised will become our brothers. Now I ask you today to look again to your left and your right, and at all the men sitting around you. The chances are that you see not strangers, but your best friends, those with whom you've spent your best and worst times, and those with whom, without a doubt, you can call your brothers for life. Today, we reach the end to our book's last chapter here, our final 215. We have tied our ties, slipped into our Sperry's, and forgotten to wear a belt for the final time as LaSalle students. There will no longer be a practice to go to, a club to meet with, or friends to hang out with in the parking lot. However, those prophetic words encouraging us to stay a little longer each day take on a new meaning. Our book now has thousands of blank pages, waiting to be filled with our great achievements, adventures, and exceptional talents that we will now offer the world. Life will come at us fast. Very soon there will come a day when cafeteria conversations become corporate meetings, Sperry's are replaced with dress shoes, and that best friend becomes your best man. We will travel across the world, find love, discover our passions, and experience amazing things. There's no promise that it's always going to be easy, but each one of us here knows that he will never have to do it alone. And throughout our lives, as we cross paths again, we can stop, maybe just for a few moments, and read how together we have turned our book's blank pages into the story of a lifetime. A friend recently brought to my attention a quote from Dr. Seuss in which he says, "Do not cry because it's over. Smile because it happened." Looking back at everything we have become here in just 4 short years, I find it difficult not to smile. Everything eventually has its end, but it is that end that allows for a greater beginning to form. As we reach the start of our greater beginning and take our first steps into the next phase of our lives, I challenge all of you to still never forget the words we heard that very first day. Always remain close to your Lasalian roots. Live every day staying a little longer than 2:15. Go above and beyond what is asked of you. Keep God at the center of everything you do. And never forget that you have 286 brothers that will always be there, waiting to share with you in every trial and success that life has to offer. Thank you.